Welcome to episode 151 of Auto Off Topic.
We passed episode 150 without much fanfare.
Yeah.
We're getting pretty good at not making fanfare over milestone episodes, huh?
No need to care. So, project updates. Get right into it.
Right into things today, huh?
Yeah.
Well, we'll start with...
Well, I don't have any skunked beer to talk about, so...
Yeah, we're drinking Polar Seltzer water, though. That's worth a mention.
The usual.
Yeah. It's worth a mention. I don't drink that much now that I normally live in Arizona, but I'm still here.
Can't get it.
Yeah. Project car updates. What do you want to start with? You want to start with the golf madness?
Yeah, so we talked about... We'll go over this more in depth with when we have Jordan and Liz on to recap the whole thing, but turns out, I had like a fleeting thought on the way home from the rally. I was like, could it be that the relays were just bad? So...
This is the whole fuel pump saga we were discussing before.
Yeah, the harness they had made came with some like Chinese relays, and we decided that Jordan should buy some Bosch ones, and turns out that solved the issue.
So weird.
Super weird and super annoying because it was driving us crazy for weeks.
So basically, they were just junk, non-reliable relays.
Yeah, and
what would even cause that? You think? Just wrong
poor
resistance.
quality.
Yeah.
And like relays don't commonly fail. It's not impossible, but it's not common. It's usually like the very last thing that you would think would be the failure point. So I didn't.
Yeah, of course.
Steered around that for a while. I thought the issue was somewhere else. So super annoying. And you don't like to just throw parts at things, but at that point we just tried it because it seemed like everything else was correct.
Because you had wired the car, and you're like, I know my wiring is correct. Or I hope my wiring is correct anyway.
Checked voltages, and it was this whole thing. So
the moral of the story is don't cheap out when purchasing relays.
No, apparently not.
Yeah.
But these are the ones that came with the harness, so that's doubly annoying.
Well, maybe somebody should email this gentleman who made the harness and tell him his relay choice is not ideal.
Yeah.
I wonder how much cheaper were they, do you know?
I have no idea.
The Bosch relays aren't expensive.
No, I have no idea.
So, okay.
All right, so the Eclipse, we talked about doing the axles. You had it in the body shop getting fixed. You got it back. It was in primer.
Yes.
So what did you do to get it not into primer? Because you worked on it today.
I did. I painted it today.
Yeah, you posted a picture of it just in primer and like wet sanding it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to post.
So I wet sanded it with 400 and 500 grit sandpaper, just to get it a smooth surface in the primer for the paint to adhere to.
Mm-hmm.
We went to a local auto body supply store here yesterday, and we gave them the paint code, and they actually mixed up the original color for the car and put it in an aerosol can.
It's not cheap.
No, it was like $26 for the
can,
I
think. But it's pretty handy.
Because exact color. And I don't have to have like a full gun set up with an air compressor and the gun and paint made. And
yeah, and it's not like a duplicolor paint that you're trying to
correct.
get at the parts
And I'm not
store.
painting the whole car. I'm just literally painting the outside below the molding in the middle of the door. So it's maybe a 3.5, 4 foot by 1 foot section.
Yeah.
So an aerosol can is fine for that. Eventually the whole car will probably get a professional respray. But for now, this looks way better than primer.
Yes, it does.
I think it actually came out pretty nice. I
Yeah.
do say so myself. All those years of painting model cars really prepped me up for this, I think.
Well, they set you up with a 2-part, right?
It's a 2-part, so it dries flat, and you have to put a clear over it after you've put the color coat down.
Yeah.
So it's dried flat. You rewind a little bit. So I took apart the car a little bit more. I pulled the rest of the moldings off so I could have the hard line behind the moldings, so I wouldn't have a hard line of old paint and new paint.
Mm-hmm.
So I pulled all the moldings off rather than tape them. So that was all taken care of. I then did the 400 and sandpaper and the 500 sandpaper just to knock it down a little bit because primer has a texture to it, and if you spray over texture, your paint will have a texture. So I knocked that down a little bit. So I did that with wet sanding. Once I was satisfied with that, I had some masking paper and some tape, and I taped off the whole side of the car except for what I wanted to have done, obviously, and just went to town spraying it up. Oh, I did use Prepsol first, which is a product that cleans the panel after you've takes all the residue off and all the sanding goop off. That was the prep sol, and then sprayed it, and it's drying now, waiting for clear coat. So it's a little bit on the brighter side than the rest of the car, but I think the clear coat will probably darken it up just a little bit, and it'll probably match perfectly looking at how it looks. So I'm pretty stoked on that.
And then you think the top of that door you can buff maybe?
I'm gonna try. So the car was wrecked when the quarter panel and rocker were damaged. The door was trashed. So the previous owner, Nate, put a new door on the car, and he bought it at a junkyard. It was a red door. The only problem was that at some point the car that red door was on had a cheap respray, probably because there was faded paint on the top or something. So the cheap respray was a single stage, and it's faded down and it's flat looking. I can still see some spots in the door where the paint's peeled back, and the original red paint is still showing. So I'm hoping if I'm very patient with a buffing wheel, I can maybe bring it back to the paint that's underneath the cheap respray on top. Because it doesn't look like the car was even sanded before it was painted. So it may come back, it may not. It won't look worse than it is. And worst case scenario, I'll get another can of this rattle can red paint, and I'll paint the top section of the door.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario. But the big update with that car would be the rattle.
Yeah.
We discussed the rattle last time. We've been trying to figure out why the rear suspension in the car sounds like it's going to fall apart.
I thought it was a caliper. Turned out I did actually have a spare driver's side caliper because I got the wrong one when I was doing the Galant. I got a front wheel drive.
Correct.
Not an all-wheel drive.
And the brake hose goes in at a different angle.
Yes. Otherwise, if you put a front wheel drive caliper on an all-wheel drive car, the brake hose doesn't have the banjo bolt fitting, so it will hit the wheel.
Correct.
It also doesn't seal properly because it doesn't go into the fitting is different. And turns out that caliper was junk.
Yeah, very much so, actually.
Super annoying.
So we put the caliper on the car because our original thought was that the slide, where the slide pin on the top of the caliper was, on the caliper on the car, had been remanned, and the hole was too big, and it was just fitting sloppy. That was just our shot in the dark thoughts because we literally changed everything else in that back of the car. Everything was nice and tight. So we swapped this new caliper on, and then we were having a really hard time bleeding it, and we couldn't figure out why. It wouldn't bleed. You'd step on the brake, and literally I could still spin it, the hub and brake rotor by hand. It wouldn't change at all. At one point, you hit the brake really hard, and we heard a bang.
Yeah, like it pushed out.
It's like finally the piston pushed out. So we're like, oh, okay. And then the rotor stopped. But then you pulled the e-brake, which the e-brake in the Eclipse Galant style setup has a ratcheting mechanism inside the caliper that every time you pull the e-brake up, it pivots this little adjuster out and it pushes the brake piston into the pad like you're applying the brakes.
This is my preferred style versus drums inside the rotor.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely a better style. When it works fine, it works fine. And honestly, I've never seen this failure before.
Yeah.
So I think something was wrong inside that setup. And then when it finally released was when it made that bang. And whatever released broke the inside of the caliper because now that e-brake ratcheting mechanism literally doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
So we have the caliper back off the car. Now we're frustrated because we spent so much time trying to figure out why we couldn't bleed it. We couldn't bleed it because the e-brake assembly was holding up the piston somehow.
Yeah.
So we put the old caliper back on the car. Now we're annoyed because at this point we're like, well, we're trying to fix this stupid thing. What are we going to do? But before that, we were having a hard time again putting the brake pads back in.
Yeah, and the inner brake pad and the clips. There's 2 springy clips and then 2 just flat stainless steel clips. And whoever put this together the first time had the 2 spring clips on the inside, on the top and the bottom.
Right.
And it's super hard to get the pad in. And I'm doing it, I'm like, I do not remember this being this hard. There's no way this is this hard. There's no way I blocked it out of my memory that it was this hard to do because the pad literally does not fit with these clips in it.
Right.
I was like, and then finally I was like, I think if these are done properly, I didn't have either of my cars to look at because it was at my dad's house. I was like, I believe the 2 spring clips go on the bottom and then the 2 regular clips go on the top and they keep the pads from rattling around.
Right.
So yes, as soon as you flip the 2 spring clips to either side, and then the 2 regulars to the top, and you put the pad slide right in perfectly and don't move around.
Yeah, so basically there's 2 pads on each wheel.
Yeah.
And then there's 4 clips, one for the top and bottom of each pad. So there's 2 spring clips and 2 shims, like you said.
Yeah.
And they had both of the pressure clips on one side and just the shim clips on the other side.
This person must have struggled forever to get the pads in there.
Well, I'll tell you what. The inside of the car, when you leave the window shut all day, reeks of marijuana.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that they were a little confused and intoxicated maybe when they put the brakes together. This is not the previous owner who I bought it from. It's the guy before him. Yeah. He did not do the rear brakes. Nate did the front brakes, and they're great. But the rear brakes are an issue.
Yeah.
So thankfully we figured it out. Got the whole car put back together with the old caliper back on it now because it works just fine.
Yeah.
The brake pads are in nice and tight now. And lo and behold, car doesn't rattle at all.
Yeah.
It's nice and tight now. So that one loose brake pad, so it was the outside pad on both sides.
Yeah, it just
was super loose.
Echoed through the whole car.
And the way the front-wheel drive DSMs are set up, they have a beam rear axle. So it's this giant piece of metal that goes side to side with a torsion beam inside of it. And it echoes through the whole car. It's all this one piece of metal. So no matter what side you hit a bump on, the pads were rattling that much and echoed so loudly you could hear the whole entire car. So we chased that problem for a while, and it was some previous owner's screw-up that was the whole problem from the get-go. So I don't care that it was wrong. I'm glad it was fixed. Just annoyed that it was such a stupid little thing, and we spent so long trying to figure it out. So moral of the story is, if you use any illicit substances or even drink beer while working on cars, just pay attention.
Well,
don't get too screwed up.
I didn't really notice it because it'd been a while since I did mine, and mine were set up the right way, so I just put them back the same way they were.
Right. And that's what we were doing. Like, that's how we've always worked on cars. You take it apart, you put it back the same way it came apart. Like, we didn't even think to change the clips around because that's how they were. Until you couldn't get the pad in because with 2 spring clips on one side, the hole was literally too small for the pad. Like, they must have used, like, a pick and a hammer to get those pads in.
Yeah, so I was like, there's no way this. It was too hard to be correct. It was just too hard.
Yeah, for sure. Not a fan.
Yeah.
Not a fan. But it's done now. So the car runs great, drives great, axles are done, brakes are done, tires are on, it's painted red, just needs to be clear coated still. I'm pretty stoked with the progress we've made on the car.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's good.
Yep. It won't be making Radwood NorCal because of things that came up. So we didn't make the trip, but it'll be at Radwood Boston in October now.
Cool. I ordered some Coney heavy tracks for the Montero.
Okay.
Let's get rid of
to replace the
KYB, the Kill Your Backs.
Yes.
They're just way too stiff.
Mm-hmm.
They're like the silver GR2s or whatever for these trucks.
Mm-hmm. That's what my truck has too.
Yeah, they're
cheap.
They're the least expensive shock you can get for a Montero.
Right.
I had them on the 89, and they came on this truck.
Right.
And they're just crazy stiff. Like, they might as well be solid. Where the Coneys are actually rebound adjustable. You can't adjust them on the truck. You have to take them out and turn them, but you can adjust them so they're super soft. And they're equivalent to, like, yellow Bilsteins. And they have, like, a faster... they're like respond better. So
faster rebound.
Yeah, so when you get on like long gravel dirt roads and you drive them pretty quick,
like at New England Forest Rally.
Yeah, the truck won't vibrate as much because it'll dampen better. So that's those would be cool. I should have those shortly. Get those on. I would also like to do. I've got the white line trailing arm bushings for that truck, which really tightened up the 89. So I'll try to do those at the same time. But you gotta pull the whole trailing arm off, and it's actually decently easy on the roll-on lift because the axle doesn't move or anything. You don't have to have the truck lifted up.
I remember doing the shocks in the first gen. It took like an hour total.
The rears are really easy. The fronts are a little trickier, but not too bad. So to get that done, maybe over the weekend if I have time. And that's kind of it for. I don't have any other project car stuff I haven't done like on my stuff.
No, we've just been working on the Eclipse.
Yeah,
time.
I need to change the oil on the Galant. On the Subaru.
Mm-hmm.
And I still need to put that fender liner in.
Oh, I was supposed to do that yesterday, and then we got too tied up with the Eclipse. The Eclipse
Yeah.
project that was supposed to take like an hour,
Yeah.
that wound up taking 3.
And then the part of the heat wrap on the downpipe is dragging. Like it's
Hanging
like
on the
it's
ground.
hanging down. I can see it every time I walk up to the car.
Yep.
Like especially the top of my driveway because you're lower at the bottom of my driveway. I can see underneath.
That's annoying.
Yeah, I gotta like wrap it back up. But
Upcoming events?
yeah, what do you got?
I don't have anything. I'm going back to Arizona.
Well, you got Southern New Hampshire Cars and Coffee, August 18th.
Yep, and I actually will be here again, believe it or not, in Massachusetts in 2 weeks
So that's at the Coffee
for that
Factory,
show. Yep.
Salem, New Hampshire. Check the Facebook event for details and updates.
So that was what date? The 4th? No,
August 18th.
18th. Okay,
It's Sunday.
excellent. Yeah, I'll be here for that, so that's good.
Were there any other ones?
Not that I can come up with top of my head real quick. I do have a quick trivia question for you. That's something that I learned last night.
What is it?
What American vehicle in the 80s was available with a Mitsubishi turbo diesel engine?
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Shocked.
Whoa.
Shocked.
What
Also-
American vehicle?
American vehicle with a Mitsubishi turbo diesel. Also,
Is it a heavy truck?
nope. Also, some of these vehicles were also available with the KM 145 transmission. 5-speed.
Okay. Wait a minute. So it's a diesel.
Yep.
It's not. So it's not like a commercial truck.
It's not a commercial vehicle.
It's a pickup truck.
It's not a pickup truck.
Not a pickup truck.
Correct.
But it's a diesel.
It is a diesel. And not. It didn't have to be.
And it wasn't a Chrysler product.
Nope.
Really?
No. It did not have to be a diesel to have the 145 transmission either. They also mated that to their own V6.
Really? So I imagine it would be a GM product.
Nope.
Really?
You're batting 1,000 here.
All right. So then it has to be a Ford product.
It didn't have to be a Ford product, but it is. I mean, it could be an AMC still. You don't know what year it is.
Okay.
But it is a Ford product.
Okay. So is it a light truck, like a pickup?
It's not a pickup, but it is kind of a truck. It's pickup truck based.
Really? Is it like some Ford like van, like a transit van or something?
Negative. It would be a personal vehicle that would be used for just
Is
normal
it
daily driving.
Ford? It's some sort of Ford station wagon?
No, it's truck based.
What?
Yeah.
So it's like but it's not a van,
No.
but it's truck based.
Yeah. Well, if it's not a pickup truck, it's not a van. What's left?
Is it like a Bronco 2?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. The Bronco 2 was available with a turbo diesel 4056 or 4055, one or the other. And then it was available with a KM 145 manual transmission.
That's so weird.
Right? I kind of want one now.
How rare are they?
Pretty rare. They didn't sell very many of them. I mean,
Is
Bronco 2s in general are not common anymore.
No.
There aren't many left. I mean, I've seen more of them since I moved to Arizona than I've seen probably my entire life.
How do you? Yeah. What years were Bronco 2s?
I actually pulled the Wikipedia page up.
And they were like
84 to 90.
just a small truck version. So
They're a Bronco based on a Ranger.
okay. So
Versus
like
a Bronco based on a full size truck frame.
right. So this is the one with like the curved top rear windows.
The rear glass went up into the roof and then curved into the roof, kind of like a Mitsubishi Delica van with the crystal light van.
That's so strange.
Yeah, I had no idea. There was an article in Hemming's classic car. Just they've been doing a bunch of features on like weird trucks lately because trucks are really like the up and coming thing right now, collectability wise. And they had a little like 2-page spread about the Bronco 2, which was obviously the Ford's first entry into the small SUV game.
Yeah.
They were basically playing catch up for Chevy and GMC's S10 and S15 because they had the Blazer and the Jimmy, and Ford had nothing. And Ford was like, "Oh crap, we don't have anything. All these manufacturers are coming out with these smaller SUVs. We need one." So they rushed that thing to market, and then it was a serious rollover hazard car. There were 3 vehicles. That one, the Samurai, and
S10s.
no, S10s weren't.
Probably
S10s
a
are more
Montero.
stable. No, it wasn't the Montero. I mean, it was definitely a Samurai, definitely that, and there was one other one. So they had pretty big rollover controversy with them. But yeah, they went from 84 to 90, and then they were replaced with
The Explorer.
the Explorer, which obviously had its own rollover thing with the Firestone
Oh.
tire debacle.
Yeah, but every small SUV has rollover hazard.
Yeah, these were considered more top heavy than others. The Samurai was super narrow and tall, and they say a lot of what actually made this truck top heavy was that glass,
Weird.
because the glass went all the way up the side of the car into the roof instead of being, a small piece of glass like on an S10 Blazer. But yeah, I learned that it had a Mitsubishi turbo diesel and Mitsubishi transmissions, and I was kind of shocked by that. I had no idea. I've never seen one. I've never known of one to exist. I guess it was only a year or two I even offered it. But I've never heard of any other Ford Mitsubishi partnership.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else. If you asked me the question and I did not know about the Bronco, my guess would have been a Jeep product because of the licensing between Mitsubishi and Jeep. But it wasn't. It was a Ford Bronco too, which they've always kind of like intrigued me. Like they're kind of like a short wheelbase Montero. They're kind of neat looking. They have that weird twin I-beam front suspension like a Ranger has. But
Because it is a Ranger.
yeah, it's a Ranger. So I mean, they had all kinds of different versions of them: Eddie Bauer versions, XLTs,
Weird.
sport package trucks. They were really neat little trucks, but you just don't see them anymore out here because they must have all rotted away.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You do see a bunch of them, like I said, out in the Southwest, but not a ton.
I didn't know they came in the diesel.
No, and a Mitsubishi diesel at that. So I mean, S10s came with a diesel too.
They did?
They did. You know who made that one?
Isuzu.
Yes. Yeah, that one makes more sense.
Well, GM uses a lot of Isuzu diesels.
For sure. But if you had, it's okay. Now reversing the question, if you had said, "Hey, Brad, the Bronco 2 came with a diesel," and I said no, and he said, "What diesel do you think it would be?" I'd be probably some Mazda engine,
Oh, yeah.
because the Mazda B2200 was a Ranger, and the Ford Courier was a Mazda. So, but no, it's a Mitsubishi, which is neat because that means it's the same engine as like a Delica van, or a first-gen Montero diesel, which we didn't get here. So it's basically a short wheelbase Montero with a Ford badge in the front.
Weird.
Yeah,
Super strange.
but it's a good parts source, I guess. If you have one of those weird imported Mitsubishi diesels, and you can find one of these in a junkyard, or if you need to go to Napa and get parts, you'd be like, "Oh yeah, it's an '86 Bronco 2 diesel," and you can get your Mitsu diesel parts for your imported Mitsu diesel. So. Anyway, that was my only trivia. I happened to read that last night and was like, I bet Andrew doesn't know about this because I don't know about this. And it's super obscure. So that was
Speaking
kind
of
of fun.
rollovers, that was the craziest thing I've ever seen. Was a Montero rollover in front of me.
Oh, that's right too. I remember that in Revere, right?
Yeah, I was driving the parts van back. It's Friday afternoon. I was taking my time going down Revere Beach.
Yep.
This lady came around the corner and put a wheel in the dirt.
Yep.
Overcorrected and did a barrel roll,
Right in front of your
three
parts
cars
van.
in front of us.
Yeah.
And then landed on the wheels facing the direction we were going.
Yeah.
She was coming the opposite direction.
Right.
And it was the three cars, we stopped and got out, and this lady was white knuckled on the steering wheel.
Yeah.
Her window was broken. She was
What just happened?
Yeah, just 1,000-yard stare. And luckily, the state police barracks are right there.
The fire station right there
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, so they showed up pretty fast, and it was we're okay.
Speaking of Revere Beach, do you remember probably about 4 or 5 years ago when I had my Colt parked at Revere Beach? I was at a job interview. I met the guy at the body shop at a restaurant down there, and I got a note left in my car. Somebody trying to buy it.
No, I don't remember you telling me that.
No, I did. I think the note's still in the car actually.
Okay.
So I was at my house, my parents' house, last week, and I got a call from your dad
Yeah.
because there was some random dude in the driveway. Now, bear in mind, our parents live on this dead end street that there's no reason to go down.
Yeah.
And he was talking to your dad, and your dad's like, "Hey, this guy wants to talk to you about your Colt." And I was like, "Oh, great, sure." So I went outside, and it was the dude who left the note on the car when it was parked in Revere 4 years ago.
Oh, weird.
Turns out he lives in Revere,
Yeah.
and he has a '78 Colt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was trying to buy my car.
Oh, okay.
Just so obscure and random that it was that same dude, and he was on our tiny little dead end lane and a half wide street. So
weird.
I did not sell it to him because I'm not selling the Colt,
No.
but I did offer to buy his because I'm an idiot. So he has a '78 special edition, the white one with the red vinyl roof and the red interior.
I feel like you said you saw her car like that around or something.
Must have been him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he said he's never driven it, but his dad used it a few times.
Okay.
So, anyway, just a
He
small.
knows what he has.
He knows what he has.
No low balls from you.
Nope. He didn't take my $200 offer. I didn't offer him $200. I did sell him one of my spare engines, though, so
Oh, good.
now I don't have to drag it across country.
There you go. We did clean my mom's car up for her.
Oh, yeah, the Beetle. We've even talked about the Beetle at all?
Yeah, we did.
Did we talk about what the car was? And
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a 79 Super Beetle.
Yep, 65,000 original miles.
Yep.
Original interior.
It's a cabrio. So
Yep.
and that just means the Super just means it had curved windshield, McPherson struts.
McPherson struts. That's the important part.
Yeah. Well, the curved windshield, I guess, gave you more interior room because you pushed the dash further forward. And then
And more visibility.
And then losing the torsion bars in the front let you lay down the
Spare tire.
so you get more cargo space.
The earlier ones had the spare tire standing up in the front.
Yeah.
This has it laid down flat.
And this is the very last year car.
So it's fuel injected too.
Yeah.
Which is also super neat.
Super early Bosch.
Car runs good, drives good. You guys got a inspection sticker on it.
Yep.
We detailed it.
Yeah, once we cleaned it up, it looked really nice.
Yeah, it's a really nice car.
Little coat of wax and clean
You
all
guys
the
are gonna
windows.
your mom's gonna have a lot of fun driving that thing around. I can't wait to hear that she has. I don't think she's driven it yet, has she?
Drove it a couple times.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Oh, excellent, good.
My dad wants to get, because the pedals are really close in those.
Yep. He ordered them today.
Yeah, you can get kits to spread the pedals
You
apart.
widen the pedals apart. Yeah, a company called J-Bugs makes this kit. It's literally a spacer in between the clutch and the brake, and then there's a different arm, I think, for the gas pedal.
Yeah.
So, wider feet can control them without hitting all of them at the same time.
The car has an insanely narrow pedal box.
Yes. Yep.
It's like because the pan narrows as it goes forward, and then it's funny because a car in '79 that had separate fenders from the body. When was the last time I had one of those? I don't think it separate bulbous fenders. You know what I mean? Pontoon
Yeah,
fenders.
I'm trying to think. Other than a Beetle.
Or an MG.
No,
they
that was even
those.
back in the 50s. They stopped those. Kind of like a 30s car style fender. You mean?
Yeah. Because it is a 30s car. A Beetle is a 30s car.
Yeah, essentially. Didn't change at all until 2000 whatever when they stopped making them.
So crazy.
Yeah, it's a neat car. I'm a fan.
Yeah, I drove it around for a little bit. It was super fun. Once you get used to how hard you have to press the non-power brakes.
Non-power four-wheel drums.
Yeah, but you know what? When I go to move my dad's Catalina, it has power four-wheel drums.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to go through the windshield when you just barely touch the brake.
Right.
So it's actually better not having power. You just have to be aware that you have to put...
Well, we were looking. They make a disc brake conversion kit that's like $299. It might even be worth it for that car.
Yeah, it'll still be non-power, but...
It'll just be a lot better braking system. And it won't be affected by rain as much either.
Okay.
That's the scary thing about drum brakes. Have you ever driven a drum brake car in the rain?
No.
It's not fun. Because that initial bite of the initial pedal push doesn't do jack.
Clearing the water off.
Yeah, exactly. So, my motorcycle has a drum front brake, and after being caught in the rain and that, it's like a 2.5-inch drum too. It's tiny, and you first pull that brake pedal of the motorcycle, and it doesn't do anything, and you immediately panic.
The only thing everything I've ever owned has only been either four-wheel discs or drums in the rear.
Yep, I've never owned a front drum brake car. Just a motorcycle. Even my 71 NSU has got disc brakes in the front.
Oh, it does?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
That was the upsell between buying a Beetle or an NSU. The NSU was marketed more against a BMW 2002 than a Beetle.
Oh.
So it had a little bit more fancy. In 71, it has full 3-point seatbelts all around.
I still don't understand how a drum brake can be cheaper on some new cars.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because there's so much extra hardware inside them.
I know my mom's '05 Honda had drum brakes in the rear. That's not even new anymore, but it still even seemed weird then.
No, but I drove a new Clio in Europe. It was a 16 or 17, and it had drums in the rear.
I think a base Accord and base Civic still have drums in the rear to this day.
So weird.
Yeah.
You think they just throw disc brakes have to be cheap enough now?
You don't have to make a new setup for the car. You just make a new bracket.
Yeah.
Like the caliper itself can be for something
And
else.
rears just get solid rotors. They don't need to be vented, so they're even cheaper. They're just little stamped.
I'm sure there's some reason for it, or else they wouldn't make them that way anymore.
Very strange.
But they do. Like I think a new Jetta has drum rears. New Accord
Oh,
still
a
has
base,
drum rears.
base Jetta.
Base Jetta.
Well, yeah, the new Jettas are like super cheap.
Super decontented. They're pretty terrible cars, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, for the price they're okay. You know, because they're like the cheapest midsize sedan in the market. But what they took out to make it the cheapest midsize sedan in the market was a lot of things.
Yeah.
I think I told you I test drove one before I bought my used sport wagon, and the steering wheel felt like one of those pool noodles. Like that's the kind of foam it felt like it was made out of.
Ew.
Yeah, it was gross. And it's flat bottom too, which no car should have a flat bottom or a square steering wheel.
No.
I disagree with it. It's so weird when you release the steering wheel in your hand, like it comes back and this bump that's in it is like the new Corvette, which we don't really talk about new cars, but there's a new Corvette. Have you seen a picture of the interior of that car?
No.
The steering wheel is square.
Is it?
Almost essentially square.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's disgusting inside. It has a giant iPad next to the steering wheel, and then there's a whole like waterfall of buttons that goes from the dashboard all the way in between the passenger and the driver to like right next to you. It looks like a piano almost going in between the two
I
of
feel
them.
like there's another car that looks like that, but I can't think of it.
I don't know, but either way, it's gross.
This is the mid-engine car?
Yes, the 2020.
Hmm.
Well, supposedly it's going to start at 60 grand, but we'll see.
That sounds like a pretty cool car for 60 grand, though.
Automatic only.
Oh, really?
No manual transmission option. Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Well, for that reason, I am out.
Yep. Old man yells at cloud.
I
Give me my manual.
don't mind that it's mid-engine, but why can't you give it a manual? It's so stupid. Like,
Yeah.
weird. I mean, like, okay, for a while we were going towards like, automatics or.
There's the steering wheel and that waterfall of buttons.
Oh yeah, there's another car that's like that.
But is that not a square steering wheel?
Yeah, it's kind of square.
Yeah. That must be so annoying to drive.
But there was like, for a while it was like in the 2000s, automatic cars can be so much faster, like they can shift faster, and these twin clutches.
Oh, it's true. It does. There's no question.
Yeah, and now like people are just like, listen,
We're over it.
it's cool. I just don't. I want to shift gears. And at least like Porsche at least offers a car with a manual, because you don't need to have the fastest shifting car ever.
No. I want a car
to
that's
have fun.
And we're beating this like a dead horse, but I want a car that's engaging to drive. That's all. I don't care about lap times. I don't care about 0 to 60 times. Just want a car that's fun to drive. And I can't get behind that automatic only.
I was totally behind. I was like, yeah, the Corvette needs to go mid-engine. They need to be a better car. It needs to go mid-engine.
Mm-hmm.
But now if it's automatic only, it's like, oh, okay. No, thank you.
But so is the competition. Ferraris are automatic only and all the other mid-engine cars. So whatever.
Boring.
Not my deal. I'm not buying one anyway.
Stick with a C5.
I will vote with my wallet. I will not buy one.
Yeah, plenty of people will, though.
Right.
All right. Anything else?
I don't think so. I think that's it for today.
Cool. All right. A little bit of a short episode, but, not too bad.
Yeah, we hit a half hour at least, which is better than 0 episode.
Yeah. All right. So, as always,
We'll have a couple of extra episodes coming up anyway, I think, pretty soon, because we have a lot of
Yeah.
people that need to come in and fill us in on
Yeah.
things. There'll be some guest episodes coming up.
yeah, we just want to miss one for you guys. Follow us on Facebook, Auto Topic Podcast. I have a page on Facebook, Raced in Anger. There's some rally car pictures up there.
Oh, yeah, you haven't promoted that in a long time.
No.
But most of your rally car stuff goes there.
Yep. And I've had a few people buy some photos from me, so I appreciate it.
Awesome.
You can follow me on Instagram, Raced in Anger. Follow the podcast, Auto Off Topic, on Instagram. And Brad, where are you?
Find me at TSISS350.
All right, cool. Keep your cars analog and aim for the roses.